So, Dr. Phoebe, if we can have you jump in to discuss some of the results.
Well, thanks a lot, Ken, for the intro, and I'm very excited, and I'm also, I have to say, I'm super. I think the results are just amazing. I've obviously seen the movies already, the cartoons, so I think you will be very excited to actually see them and see the future of what people think will be happening in the next 20 years. I'm gonna do some of the quite a bit of repetition to what I did. So if you actually listen to me in March at the beginning of this challenge, of this Future of Health challenge, then you'll probably remember some of the things. But I just want to focus on a couple of things that are mentioned over here. The United Nations has actually, obviously decided that good health and well-being is one of their major sustainable development goals. And I think that if you really look at healthcare at the moment, there's a huge gap between what it should be and what people believe it could be in the future and to what it really is. So we're really doing very little on prediction of events, of health detrimental events. We are not really necessarily trying to prevent diseases from happening. The business model health has a lot to do with you getting sick. If you don't get sick, the doctor doesn't make any money. If you don't have anything to be treated in a hospital doesn't make any money. So there's a lot of there's a big gap between the wish of the participants in the healthcare systems and actual reality. Also, there's a huge gap between different economies. And I think that's something we have to bridge in the futures as well. And we have to personalize healthcare. We have to make sure that everybody participates in healthcare delivery. And to do that, future will have to look a little different. The developments look a little differently than they were in the present and past. So we still have to focus on better outcomes. We have to improve the clinician and patient experience, but we really, really have to work on intentionally disrupting the healthcare system, and we can probably only do that by addressing cost as a major driver. And only that, if we have a world with a good socioeconomic baseline, a good environmental stability, we will actually reach a sustainability in health and around health, human health. So that's very important. So you can go to the next page. So there is a lot of challenges, and again, I don't want to go through them in depth. I think I mentioned some of those already, and a part of them were addressed in the cartoons, which I liked. So demographics will get older. That's good, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Healthy longevity is something that we all like to have, but the access to the healthcare and to making sure that we stay healthy is still not given. And one of the main reasons is the cost, which is here mentioned on the left side. Next one. And we have obviously tons and tons of data points that we will collect. We already do collect, and we will collect even more of those, but they're all in silos. So they're all fragmented. They are really not, working together to create the best and most intense outcome for everyone. And probably, that's what can be used for prediction and prevention. And that's actually something, and I'm already jumping a little bit ahead to the challenge, on the EXOS challenge. That is something that we believe should be addressed, is how do we get rid of these fragmented silos? How do we make sure that the data is actually being shared, the data is used properly, and actually for the good of all of us? Next one. And obviously, we need to address some of the not only the results of diseases, but we also have to fight earlier on to make sure that we are addressing risk and behavior patterns to actually avoid certain conditions to happen. And if we would do that, we would already be able to drop the cost that is associated with treating and providing therapy for those by a significant amount. So prevention, I cannot mention it often enough, is a core to future activities in healthcare. And data is a very, very strong baseline to that. And next one. So we'll use a lot of technologies, and everybody who is in the exponential community, in the open EXA community, and there's quite a bit here in this participation list, they will know that we have lots of technologies that possibly will converge and will have a huge impact on completely reshaping healthcare as it is at the moment, and maybe providing tools and devices and setups that will change also business models. And I just mentioned some of them, and there will not be an expert in energy, but there may be, for our sake, there may be an expert in actually using energy, robotics, and biotechs, converge it together and create something really beneficial for healthcare provision. And then the next one. So you will see later on, and this is just the second to last slide here, that it's not just AI, artificial intelligence using data in a machine learning fashion, and maybe even in a big data fashion. We just combine data, will have a dramatic effect. But it's not only AI, and please be aware that to have AI, to have data, you need to also have sensors to actually acquire these data points. There's a lot more to it than just AI. And then last one, or second to last one, just jump over this one. I'll just skip that one. So what I did is I actually looked at some of the at the stories that we'll see in a second, and I try to analyze them. So here already you have the header lines of the 7 stories, and when you look at that, you'll see that certain things are mentioned more often than others. Wearables is mentioned 3 times, so that's the sensor part of it. Artificial intelligence is mentioned 6 times. It's actually 7 times. I checked it one more time, and even though it's not mentioned at the front, it is something that people very, very, very strongly believe will have a huge impact. Together with some other things, nanobots and holograms 3 times mentioned. That was pretty surprising to me. And so you see what people, and we did not give them any intro beforehand, what the participants thought would be some very impactful technologies and concepts in 20 years from now. So that's something we like to address, is issues, and I put down ANI, that N stands for narrow intelligence. So we will have artificial intelligence. It will be for a long period of time narrow. It will not be general. But issues with data ownership, data usage, privacy issues that attached to that. People can opt into data sharing, opt out of data sharing. Also attached business models with viewing data. They all need to be considered, and I think that they could be incredibly purpose and impactful in the future, and hope that we'll have, with the challenge, that we'll have a lot of input coming from that side. And then last one, and what I like you guys to do is to continue to think about providing or thinking about questions that you can ask, because only if you do that, you will actually find answers on the future. And please look at the future always from the perspective, not what will likely happen, but what you want to happen. And I think if you do that, then we'll create something that is very, very good for everyone. So, and we'll be very happy with it. So thank you very much for listening to me. And I think, Ken, I turn it back over to you, but I think we're now getting to the exciting part of listening to some of the cartoons, right?
That's right. Thank you, Dr. Freebie. So I'm going to just set up the first video so we can start watching. So we'll watch 4 of the comic videos first, and then we'll take a little break to talk about those, and then we'll switch over and watch the last 3. So let me just get this going here. And we'll get a thumbs up from the participants once it starts, that you can hear the sound okay. And here we go.
AI Health saves the day.
Wearables, personal diagnostic devices, and AI predict health issues before they occur and intervene with minimally invasive corrective measures. Our biggest barriers will be humans' ability to accept the diagnosis of the artificial intelligence.
That's annoying.
Hello. You are showing elevated levels.
I think my health AI device is failing. I feel fine.
A drone is on its way to perform further tests.
Heart rate 122, respiratory rate 22, temporal temperature 103.4 degrees.
Hello, Professor H. This goofy health AI says there's something wrong, but I feel fine. Except this cramp in my side.
If the AI says something wrong, then something is wrong. Trust it. Check your abdomen with your eye ultrasound. Looks like you have appendicitis. Please swallow the surgical nanobot from the drone, and I will repair you. This won't hurt a bit.
How are you feeling today?
Healthy.
I feel great, thanks to you and the AI health app that was able to predict and prevent a ruptured appendix.
Nanobots. To the rescue.
In a future world, we have personal nanobots that monitor our health and help us to extend our health span. Handling a pandemic could be as simple as a software update to our personal health nanobots.
Victorious, we've caught the virus and Grandpa isn't doing well.
I wish there was something I could do for you.
Maybe there is something you can do. Contact my old friend Harding about our nanobot.
Don't worry, Harding and I will find a solution.
I have to go. Grandpa needs help.
Who's there?
I'm the great-granddaughter of your old friend Dr. Joe. He needs your help.
You see, these nanobots are inside all of us. And they monitor our health. I think we can change the nanobot's algorithm to identify and cure the virus.
Eureka!
We'll send the new code to my nanobot to test it out.
Looks like it's working. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling much better. It's time to spread the new algorithm to the world. Upload it to the internet so everyone can access it.
People around the world are cheering the release of the new nanobot code that cures the virus. It's working. I need to go see my grandparents. Grandpa. You're okay, it worked.
I knew you could do it and the nanobots could help.
Hosted by Dr. Michael Freeby, Dr. Julia Hitzbleck and Ken Merkel.
Mary's digital twin saves her life.
Mary is encouraged to use a digital twin to manage her health. She is reluctant, but her twin helps her to understand the need for change. Insurance companies encourage healthy habits to reduce sick care, and Mary becomes a model of health supported by her health insurance company.
You don't look well. Mom, are you okay?
No. I'm feeling a bit dizzy lately.
We just learned about a new digital health monitoring system at school. It helps you maintain good health. Please try it.
I don't think this is going to work for me, but I'll try for Ken.
Hey, it's me. Your digital twin. I'm detecting dizziness and that you are often stressed and depressed.
Yes, that's true.
You have high blood pressure, your heart is beating fast. Your lifestyle is causing severe health problems. What about eating healthier? Going outside for fresh air?
Yeah, whatever. I don't have much influence on my future health.
2 weeks later.
I see. You still don't feel well. And you haven't changed much. If you don't try, this is your life in 20 years. But with a bit of effort, this could be your future. Don't worry, I'll help you. We are on this journey together. Instead of buying the chocolate cake, why don't you get the strawberries? Why don't you go on a walk to relieve the stress?
2 weeks later.
Well done. Your blood pressure is down, and your risk of stroke is 30% less than 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I feel better. But a healthy lifestyle is expensive.
Did you know your health insurance provider will pay you to improve your health?
Let me show you how Mary's health has improved since she's improved her lifestyle.
Wow, very impressive. We will reduce your insurance by 30%. Would you be willing to promote the digital twin approach to others?
1 year later.
Thank you for helping me do this lifestyle change. Couldn't be happier.
Wow, you are looking great.
Thank you. I owe it all to my digital twin. You should try it.
I don't know. I doubt that it'll work for me.
He has the same thoughts I had. I need to help promote this.
I'm proud to present Ms. Smith. She's such a role model for many of us.
I couldn't have done it without my digital twin that supported me the whole time.
Separated at birth.
Twins separated at birth live different lives. One rich, one poor, but both have access to advanced diagnosis just through different methods. Shared health data and AI are able to connect the twins to help overcome a major health issue through 3D printed parts using the twins' biology.
We love you so much, Paul. This chip implant will ensure you're safe.
10 years later.
Life is good. Life is good.
10 years later.
That can't be right. I feel fine.
Heart attack imminent.
I've got to lose some weight.
3 nutritious meals, 30 minutes exercise, 20 minutes meditation.
3 nutritious meals, 30 minutes exercise, 20 minutes meditation.
One year later.
We have identified that you have a twin brother. He needs your help.
We have identified that you have a twin brother that can provide help.
I've always felt like something was missing. I have to do what I can to save Paul.
We can 3D scan your heart and use some of your stem cells to create a compatible heart for Paul. Might as well print 2. Just in case.
Thanks, Finn. You saved my life.
Thank the global health AI that reconnected us.
2 years later.
Not again.
Good thing you printed a spare when my heart was made.
Good thing we decided to listen to our primary care AI.
Absolutely. It's given us all these years back.
Well, those are the first 4 comics. I also want to thank Nikki Faldamole and her team out of India. They overcame quite a few challenges with what's going on in India to get these videos made for us over the last couple of weeks. So thank you, Nikki and team. So Dr. Hitzblatt, thoughts on the first few comics?
Yeah, first of all, I must say I love what came out of the challenge. If you remember, it was a very long day. Lots of ideation and then trying to sketch out what the story could look like. I know that's quite a few of you were frustrated and then there was this time pressure, but if you now look back, it's really amazing what came out. And looking now at the content, of course, there's a lot around data and the potential, and just picking on a few things, it's also obvious that even with a lot of technology, it will shift from this one-time intervention. I see a doctor, I get a recommendation, to a continuous monitoring. And if you think even of today, right, behavior change is so hard. So you need basically a digital twin, 24/7 coaching, continuous challenges, advice on how to behave, and your personalized recommendation actually to make it true. And it shouldn't be too difficult with today's technology. And looking into the future, this will be really feasible soon. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm surprised and that, at the end of the day, we had these 7 teams actually work completely separately, right? So they had no connection to each other. And still, if you look at it, there's a lot of similarities that came out, at least, and not, from the story, but AI was saving the digital twin is also basically AI. So it's sensoric monitoring plus evaluation. There's a lot of similarities. So people see a future, and what was surprising to me is that I think it was the first story where Professor H, so I would assume it was Julia Hitzblack, right? So Professor H was still, asked for, but I did not entirely understand what the role of this person was. So we have to ask ourselves, and I'm not saying that doctors will disappear. On the contrary, I believe they will absolutely stay around, and they will possibly get a different role, maybe the role of somebody who's empathetically guiding the patient and giving them further advice. But looking at the stories, you were not quite sure on why you would still need some human interaction, some human component in there. But I think we'll find out that technology can provide a lot of things in the future, significantly more than we probably can even imagine. But on the other hand, we still, I'm hopeful at least that we still need the human touch and the human interaction and the human connection. So I'm sure we'll find some of these things in the future that will actually have a convergence between what a human is good at and what a machine is good at. And we'll actually have those work together. I had a quick look in the chat too, and then I saw some discussions going on about cybersecurity, and yes, and absolutely correct. I mean, these are stories that are very idealistic, and that's what it's supposed to be. There is not, we don't check any background capabilities or possibilities, and I think that's not what the point is. But it is clearly that we need to address these things, and again, that's pointing out to the challenges that come down. We need to probably work significantly on those to put trust forward in these technologies. And I think that's also that came out. There's a lot of trust that people put forward to the technology at the end of the day, or we should have trusted them. So I think that's key to everything in that respect, is that we have trust. So I don't know, do you have any comments on the trust part too, or on the data privacy, or maybe on massive other things we need to get done?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a topic, but it's also something that will change over time. If we would jump back to the year 2000, none of us would imagine how we interact with technology today. And yes, I mean, healthcare data is, again, something else than just normal usage data, maybe of apps. It has a different way, but we also learned on how to have better systems in place to anonymize data and have meta technology on it. And also the potential of gaining insights out of this big data and longitudinal information instead of just bits and pieces thrown together and then a lot of guessing has, in my opinion, much more potential than the risk involved. And at some point, you also need to take a decision. What is it worth taking the challenge? And of course, the first solutions won't be perfect. Therefore, you might need more precautions as well, and maybe a more protected environment. But I'm really hopeful that this will all change in the future as well.
Yeah, I see there's some great conversation in the chat. One of the interesting thing, I think Rich Sterling was talking about the insurance companies before the comic around insurance companies played. And that's going to be an important part as well in the future is how do we shift that whole business model between the healthcare and insurance companies into actual healthcare instead of sick care? And so how do we shift that where insurance companies participate in healthcare, in promoting healthcare, and because I think the value's there for them to make even more money if they don't have to pay for sick care, right? Okay, so we're going to
just insurance companies are typically followers, so they follow the sickness. So the patient actually pays for health insurance, so they cover them in the case of sickness. And the health insurance gets the invoice for a service rendered or a therapy rendered. And we need to just change the value proposition of health. Keeping healthy is a good value proposition, not treating a sick person to become healthy again. Of course, that needs to be done too. But pushing health a little bit more forward, that is something, and having the insurance companies or maybe somebody else being more active in preventing things from happening, that is definitely something that we need to work on. But the business models don't allow this at the moment. So this is something where we also believe that there will be some disruption needed in actually healthcare delivery and how we actually deal with respect to everything that happens in the health space.
I think there's probably a lot of opportunity. Sorry, Julia. Go ahead.
I would also say in general, there has been a shift happening already, right? Maybe not in the with the main services, but most of the insurance companies are actually rewarding better behavior already, whether this is providing or paying for your gym membership. In some cases, there are some small additional insurance providers sometimes who say, if you wear a smartwatch and actually show and share data that you're behaving better, exercising more, etc., then we pay for certain other parts of it. And in the end, you can also choose your tariff, right? Whether you want high upfront cost or, I don't know, take care of certain payment schemes and only have like the really big cost blocks insured. But again, it's historic. They are trying to innovate a lot, but it's also difficult because you have an existing ecosystem with a lot of different parties to align. And if one player wants to change something, that usually doesn't work right away. So you need really the whole consortia to shift, or a really disruptive technology or event with a new business model that then forces everybody else to change as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to jump into the last 3 comics, and then we will have another discussion after those. So I'm going to share my screen again. And here we go.
Hello, Travelexa. Science saves the day.
After 20 years of pandemic living, travel back in time before the pandemic begins to shift thinking towards belief in science and stopping the influx of misinformation before it begins.
It is the year 2040. Society has been locked down for 20 years due to uncontrollable, rapidly evolving COVID variants.
I can't live without you. You're all I have. Travelexa will let me travel back, but should I? Will I still feel the same about Ashley after seeing Joy again? Hello, Travelexa. Take me to 2018.
I can breathe freely. What a beautiful life this once was.
Where are we going to party tonight?
Party at my place.
OMG, I can't believe how beautiful Joy is. Let's do it. Hey, what are you doing in my bag?
Oh, nothing. I was looking for something I lost.
Guys, the science on vaccines and medical technology is really sound. We need to listen to our scientists. The media is going to kill us. If we don't start listening to scientists, we'll all be dead in 20 years. Trust me, I'm from the future. I'm glad you're starting to listen.
She's gaining traction. You need to stop her.
But I can't. Antigua people are believing her.
Maybe you need to take it to the next level.
I'm sorry. I have to stop you.
You followed me back in time. Stop. Think about your family.
My family is dead.
Not here, not now. We can save your family. We can help this world. I know we can fix this. But I just don't know how to get my message out there in the time we have.
I'm so sorry. I think I can make it up to you. This is James from Antigua Pharma. We need to talk.
Come to the White Mansion.
Mr. President, we need to talk.
We don't need more fake characters and news here. Guards, get them out of here.
We are from the future. You have to help. Look, This is the future that awaits you.
It's not too late. We need to listen to the scientists and take action.
Sivanka, she knew. This science bill will invest more in medical technology, preventive medicine, biomarker-based AI testing, and vaccinations. I know the smartest scientists, and we must listen to them. They are our future.
March 2019.
President Trump's investment in science is paying off with massive prediction, prevention, personalization and participation in our health futures. In other news, there was a small breakout of influenza-like illness in Lena, dubbed Pandemic X. Public health protocols were quickly deployed and the situation is now under control due to President Trump's recent investments in medical technology.
Now that Pandemic X was stopped and Joy was saved, Ashley will never know about the life we had. I hope he finds happiness.
AIDA cares for Jenna.
Genetic modification creates a new generation that are immune to disease, or are they? Realizing she's not immune to everything, our character finally receives a monitoring implant that allows her to overcome new diseases. Human trust will be a factor in accepting preventative diagnosis via artificial intelligence.
So, doctor, what can you tell us about our genetic testing result?
There's a 25% chance your baby will not be healthy. Not to worry though, we can repair the problem with CRISPR.
10 months later.
She is so beautiful.
Not only is she healthy, but she's also Jenna advanced, generation immune to disease.
20 years later.
Nothing can stop me. Nothing can hurt me. I am immortal. I should apply.
Welcome, volunteers.
I feel strange. I've never felt this way before.
Have you never gotten the health monitoring implant?
I've never needed it, because of my Jenna genes.
You get the newest implant. Now we can monitor your health data 24/7. Vital signs stable, vitamin D and zinc a bit low. I have notified the canteen to adjust your diet.
We made it to Mars.
Red alert! I've detected dangerous changes in your blood.
What is that about? I am fine. I feel terrible. Help me.
Unknown species detected in your bloodstream. Calculating probability of survival 23%. Working on development of a compound to fight the intruder.
What's going on?
The nano pill is working. Probability of survival 95%.
20 years later.
We are happy to be back on planet Earth. I think we can call our mission a success.
Our heroes are back.
You look great. And young.
Along with my Jenna genes and the health monitoring AI, I couldn't be better.
Two sisters, two different worlds.
One a doctor. The other poor and suffering through natural disaster, and a sick daughter. Twins separated at birth are reconnected. Together they are able to create an equitable healthcare network that makes the existing sick care system obsolete.
Zara, what happened?
I am not Zara. I am Giovanna.
Dr. Zara, you need to come in here. I think we found your twin.
I've been looking for her for years.
I've been searching for you too. I can't believe you're a doctor.
What's wrong with your daughter? OMG. My niece.
She has a disease and can't go in the sun. And with our town flooding, we don't have a shelter.
My daughter had the same thing. It's genetic. We were able to fix it with CRISPR.
We can't afford that kind of thing.
I can give her the same modification my daughter received.
So she'll be better. And won't pass this on to her kids?
That's correct. If healthcare was more equitable, this disease would be eradicated already. I need to do something about this unequal access to healthcare.
1 month later.
I'm gonna start an autonomous well-being network to help bring healthcare to everyone. Do you want to help?
I'd love to help. But what's an autonomous well-being network?
Welcome to AHN, an autonomous health network that makes healthcare accessible to anyone. Healthcare professionals work together in a fluid network to deliver informed, on-demand, holistic and personalized well-being services.
Through low-cost biometric wearables, AI device on nutrition and activities, drone-delivered blood work and medicine, we've made the old healthcare system obsolete. You did it, Zara. Healthcare for everyone through the autonomous health network. Now we can predict and prevent disease before it happens.
And personalize it to allow everyone to participate.
And no one will have to suffer like my daughter again.
I'm so glad we found each other.
So those are great. Those are the last 3 of the 7 comics. You know, like we talked about earlier, the purpose of the Sci-Fi Hives is to talk about unlimited possibilities. So lots of great comments in the chat around those possibilities. And now it's about accelerating towards those possibilities. Did you want to jump in, Dr. Phoebe or Dr. Hitzblack?
Yeah, I can quickly say, I mean, first of all, I'm surprised that we have 2 twin stories, but that can turn out to be a little different, and they were both separated by birth. I think we can all relate a little bit, at least the ones coming from the exponential community, OpenEXO community, with the terms abundance. And I think what was mentioned at the end was this old system obsolete, and basically being able to treat yourself or treat somebody else. You know, I love that idea a lot. I sometimes question myself on whether abundance is something good or something bad to have. So, but that's a different discussion, because I mean, people who are interested in business models, they will find out that there is no more business once we have abundance. So that's an interesting concept, an interesting idea. What I liked a lot though is that you know, we are actually now we had an integration of several political aspects. There was a President Trump. I thought that was kind of cool to have that, and we have Elon Musk's with his activities on going to Mars included as well. So that was quite funny. But at the end of the day, the story with the CRISPR is something that I believe has a huge impact in the future. The human body is a little bit more complicated, and Julia is probably much better at answering that. But it's significantly more complicated than just editing a gene and then hoping that everything will be fine afterwards. But if you really look at it, there is a huge amount of, a significant amount of the diseases are caused by single gene mutations. So if you theoretically are able to do those, to edit those and correct those, there's at least a hope that a lot of these conventional diseases can be avoided. So, but again, there's a lot more to that than just editing a gene. But I think very well done and good thinking process behind it. Julia, anything on the CRISPR?
Yeah, I mean, CRISPR is just one of these technologies, right? You also have stem cells, but it is clear there are some genetically caused diseases that either you inherited already, but a lot can also happen through lifestyle. And we had this in the earlier videos as well. Through healthier lifestyle changes, you can do a lot as well. But then, of course, instead of treating the symptoms, what we still do nowadays in most cases, really trying to understand what is causing the disease, like you taking antibiotics if you really fall sick with bacteria. Before it wasn't available, now it's common sense. Do the costs have changed? Yes, and same will also happen with all the other technologies that are being developed. It will not happen overnight, and it will be a tough discussion between the pharmaceutical companies who spend billions of euros developing these compounds, a lot of government money going into this as well, because we need to have this continuous fundamental research to also drive technology developments forward, because it will not materialize out of anything. Even if we have more and more smart people collaborating around the world, you still need money without a deadline in the next few months to have a paying product. And that's super important to keep in mind. And yes, all these stories, some are maybe a bit more closer to be realized, others are really far away. But if we don't dream big, we won't really make big changes. And that's why I really liked all the stories in here. And coming back, the underlying theme is, of course, we need proper data that we can also work with, whether it's then also some additional lab diagnostics and technologies to change, but to understand what you need to change, again, you need data. And this has been a theme in all our lives since the computer really picked up speed in development. And therefore, you shouldn't argue whether more data will actually help with more insights. It's rather on how do I actually get the right quality data to answer the big questions that need to be answered next in terms of technology development, and then also making sure we know how to roll it out as a business.
Thanks, Julia. I see a lot of people talking in the chat, and I just want to let everybody know that we're going to go through the 2 challenges that we've created to try and accelerate these visions, and then we'll open it up for everybody to have a conversation. So I'm just going to share my screen. We'll talk about the 2 challenges, and then we can all have a conversation together. Okay, so now you've probably seen that common theme from the SciFi Hive Future of Healthcare is the need for an open health data exchange. Now, as a result, we're going to run a challenge to help accelerate solving that problem. So this challenge is going to run over the next few months through 2 phases. So the phase 1 is an idea pitch, and the deadline for that is actually only a month away, June 30th, 2021. So in phase 1, we want participants to create a 5-minute video pitch for their idea on how we can solve some of these challenges around an open health data exchange. So that deadline for submissions will be June 30th. Now the top 3 pitches from phase 1 are each going to be awarded 10,000 EXOS that can be used to access resources within the open EXO marketplace to create a minimum viable product for their idea in phase 2. So in phase 2, yourself, along with whatever team you're able to form through the EXO community with your 10,000 EXOS, will work on creating a minimum viable product by August 31st. So the minimum viable product will be based on your pitch. As well, we want you to complete some research and doing interviews and things like that with your MVP and with potential customers or potential early adopters to gain some insight into its acceptance and use. Now, participants again will provide a 15-minute video that's showing off their MVP, highlighting the components pitched in their original presentation, their EXO attributes that they have applied, any feedback or results from testing with early adopters, all of that by August 31st, 2021. And then prizes are going to be awarded to those top 3 MVPs as follows. So the first place will get 12,000 EXOS, second place will get 6,000 EXOS, and third place will get 2,000 EXOS. And then, so to sign up to participate in that challenge, we ask that you apply on the OpenEXO platform. So we're going to go through the OpenEXO platform, and there's a link we'll put a link in the chat Now, if you're not a member of the OpenExo community yet, you can go to openexo.com and sign up. It's an open community and it's free to join. And you can even check the community and work with a current member near you and partner with them on the challenge if you'd like. So I'm going to put the link in the chat here. And we'll also show you, actually, I can't access the chat right now with the window up. So we'll put that in at the end. But we'll also tell you where the links will be on the SciFi Hive healthcare site. So the links are going to be on the SciFi Hive healthcare site. Now, the opportunity sign up in the OpenExo marketplace has all of the information as to how we're going to score the pitch presentations and what we're looking for in your pitch presentation and the timeline for those presentations. So finally, we want to get these visions shared out to as much of the world as possible. So that's really why we're publishing it under Creative Commons. And the intent is to accelerate movement toward these visions. So we're going to start a sharing challenge. So what we want you to do is to share out in social media the comic book. And we're going to tell you shortly how you can access that comic book and download. So the winners are going to be chosen based on the amount of unique visitors that they send to the comic book. So we have a link where you can get a personalized link for yourself that you can share out. And so whoever sends the most unique visitors between May 29th and August 31st will win. The top 10 people will win some EXOS. And the best chance to win is to go exponential, of course, by sharing your link and then getting as many of people in your network to reshare that link. So to sign up for that challenge, again, the link will be on the scifihive.com/healthcare site, as well as the licram.ca SciFi Hive. That's where you'll register. And the last thing before we get into open conversation, and before people go enjoy the rest of the weekend, we want to let you know that we're starting to plan a global SciFi Hive on the future of food in the fall of 2021. You can join the event on LinkedIn from the Future of Food site to stay up to date and provide input into the planning and be notified when seats go on sale. So that's scifihive.com/food. So I'm going to just stop sharing and everybody can come off of mute and turn on their cameras. And we can, while you guys begin some conversation, I'm going to go through the chat and see if there's any questions. So did you want to start up some conversation?
So does anybody have any input? From my side, I would just say thank you very much again to Ken and the EXO Execute for doing this. It was a really fantastic experience, and I think that a lot of things were validated that we already are working on as scientists and working on in shaping the future. But I think it's really always cool to think and to look at what people want to have, potential patients want to have. That's significantly more impactful than if any scientist tries to tell you what you should have. So thanks again for this great experience, and I hope that everybody had a lot of fun participating in that.
So Rich, I think you want to jump in, some great comments in the chat there.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to jump in because I guess I'm a bit opinionated, but I've done a deep dive into AI. I'm about to retire, and I'm an eye doctor. And I'm an eye doctor who went through in the late 90s dominance by Independence Blue Cross, that came into our market and said, here's what you're going to do. You're going to accept what we pay you. Boy, we're going to make it up in volume. But basically what happened was they learned about us. About 12, 15 years later, they come back as an organization that basically took the patient. So health insurance rules in healthcare. And I'm sick and tired of that. And I sold my practice for that reason. Well, biggest reason was to be a pump up to kids that live in Portland, Oregon. But anyhow, I get involved with diabetic retinopathy, looking at pictures of the back of the eye and interpreting how far is that going to go diabetic wise. Then I find out CP is being researched up in Toronto, and pediatric cardiologists in Southern California are using AI for just about every stinking thing. And then I find out that data scientists don't really hang out too well with clinicians. They look at it as, AI is futuristic. That's why I wrote in the comments, change the name of artificial intelligence, call it objective data, because there's no more objectivity in the world anymore. Nobody's objective. It's either one way or the other. So long story short, I'm talking to an organization in Czechoslovakia that's doing diabetic stuff and want to bring it to this country. They don't have FDA. They don't have health insurance like we have here. They're not running smoothly. But data registries, which I believe that's the end result of your organization, right? You would like to get a central database. Is that true?
So we don't have the solution. That's kind of the purpose of the challenge, is to have people ideate on the solution and what does that look like. So I don't want to say right now what that could look like or my thoughts on what that could look like. So the intent is to bring peoples together, right?
Yeah, that would be totally ideal, and objectively too. So if you're diabetic, let's say in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and you move to Southern California, physicians, endocrinologists, cardiologists, everybody can share essential data, but that means that everybody gets along. Yeah, sure. That's the real world. Everybody don't get along. So, especially I told you what's happening in America now. There's this very fascinating group, American Board of Artificial Intelligence in Medicine, mostly clinicians, okay? I'm sorry, mostly data scientists. And there's a disconnect. And, here's why I was putting all this stuff about insurance in the chat. When Google and Amazon and Microsoft enter the health insurance world, now all of a sudden the big boys have a competitor, okay? And they can't charge, well, they can, but they won't be able to charge a family $4,000 for health insurance because Google has more data than anybody in the world, I believe. If not, they're followed by Amazon. So competition will be good. And therefore, as we may know, diabetes is an epidemic in this country. And so if you can control even a small percent of the diabetics by screening them out, do some AI that's in fundus photography or cardiology or whatever, and sort of predict in healthcare. So I think the way to go, and I'm not happy about it, is get health insurance companies to sponsor this stuff, because in the end result, they control the game anyhow. So if you save them money, good for the world. So that's where I was coming from with my chat, with the chats. I personally am not going to make anything change. I'm too old and decrepit to do that. But I love to see what you guys are doing, because I do know of a person who is working on an essential database in eye care, but it's difficult. And as I said in the chat, cybersecurity, it's crazy what people do on internet. I mean, they just screw things up just for the hell of it, just to be nasty. So I was talking to a group, I forget what their name is, ends in Q, that's heavily involved in cybersecurity. So the only way we're going to be able to have a central data registry, that it's going to have to be secured. And I don't know anything about that. That's why people like yourself, I mean, I just learned about EXOS just today.
Yeah, yeah.
3 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah, and join the community, join the OpenEXO community. There's a great group of people there that are trying to change the world, make the world a better place.
Cool.
Thanks for your comments, Rich.
Why did you develop this comic? Are people not listening to you guys? Is that the story? Different.
So the intent is really just to get people to shift mindsets and get people together with SciFi Hive, getting them thinking science fiction and future, to think about unlimited possibilities, because we all have our biases that hold us back. And so the intent is to create that vision or that dream, and then bring people together to try and work towards that. And so it's really not about what's happening right now. It's about what do we want to happen, and then taking that vision and trying to accelerate towards that vision.
Cool.
Okay. Angie, I see you have your hand up. Give you a second to get
Sorry,
off. There you go, Angie.
Morning. Just a few comments. Just following on from Rich's comment, that I'm seeing a trend in healthcare professionals that have been in the system, moving away from the system. Like my dad's doctor went out of the system, and she is developing a subscription-based model for preventative healthcare, for instance. I see this movement of academics and professionals forming their own associations to, to talk about the future as opposed to working in the system. So one of my questions is, we have the privilege of being in Canada, where there's a 2-tier healthcare system, as is Australia, which is super strong, by the way, in having lived there for 7 years in private and public. So I just wonder if there's some low-hanging fruit in certain regions or jurisdictions that have a 2-tier system, and tacking or going after those professionals that have already left the system as the sort of 3.5% of change makers for the future for your initiatives. That's one. The other is, I definitely see this resistance, or the old system being, labeled as sick care versus healthcare, and an opportunity to really develop public relations campaigns and ambassadorship around, healthcare versus sick care. And to me, the whole experience, that was very highlighted in the videos and the comics, is a lived experience about what the future can hold, right? All of the cartoonists had this barrier, which was really just the lack of a lived experience for what the future could be. So if anybody is on the call who wants to put together a little mini experience center as a pitch to, I'm kind of imagining the roadshow with some of these technologies where people can experience them firsthand with short-term results, I think would be a super cool project.
Excellent. And you put that forward, do a pitch for that as part of the challenge.
I think that would be a really cool way to do it. Just a very quick comment from my side. Germany has also this 2-tier system, so I think there's a lot of Europeans who have that too. But I honestly don't believe that the developed world will be the ones that are actually introducing these type of healthcare improvements first. I believe that actually countries like India, or maybe some African countries who have a completely different need and completely different setup, will actually be the ones who will go for this first, because they have a higher need, and they have a higher need to actually democratize, to have cheap access to healthcare system. They don't have enough doctors around, and I think they will probably be the ones that likely will be more innovative in that sense than we in the developed world are.
And or remote communities,
yes,
right, where they don't have access to hospitals and care.
Yeah.
Dr. Bone, I see you came on camera. Is there something that you wanted to say?
I think this is a fascinating projection forward. I've been doing primary care internal medicine for the last 40 years. And the big thing is, will the change come within the system like Dr. Sterling stated, of sick care, whereby the insurance companies rule the world. But one of the things that we need to really look at is the true function of insurance companies. Here in Maryland, the primary care first is actually a good 40 to 50% of their revenue comes from self-insured companies using them as an interface to physicians. So one way of looking at this is get into the private companies that are self-insured, to show them a way into the future. And along these lines, the Amazon and the Googles of this world should be coming into play to allow to view healthcare as a data modeling exercise. And this, to me, is where the future can go, and kind of leading the way with this is realizing that the biggest driver of disease, namely obesity, has long been privatized outside of the healthcare system. and all of the weight loss endeavors, they've been trying to crack the code relatively unsuccessfully, but primarily because obesity or diet is so entrenched within the entire economic system. Namely, the farmers are encouraged to grow, the farmers are encouraged to produce in a certain way, the McDonald's of this world, the fast foods, deliver food in a certain way, generating disease, and then the healthcare system, the insurance system act as farmers harvesting disease. So we have to kind of change the model whereby we no longer seek to harvest disease, but disease represents 20% of the economy. So when wellness could represent the same thing is I think what we're seeking to do. And Dr. Freeby's observation that this will come from countries who really can't afford disease, third world countries that can't afford disease, will kind of show us the way. With one possible example of that being what they've actually been able to achieve in Cuba as their way of approaching healthcare. But I think this is great. I think comic books as a way to disseminate is excellent. And I could only but applaud you guys for pulling this off.
Thank you. So we'll stay on for some conversation on Zoom here in a little bit. I just want to finish off the live stream. I'm going to share and just show everybody how to sign up for the challenges before we sign off of the YouTube channel. So let me just share. And so if you go to scifihive.com/healthcare, you'll find the comic book there, the full comic book for you to read. You can click right here to download the comic book. But what we really want you to do is to share this link. So if you go down on the page a little bit, there are the 2 challenges. So we have the challenge at OpenEXO for the oh, sorry, that we got to change that header. That's actually the Open Health Data Exchange Challenge. We'll get that fixed here right away. So if you click there, you can get information about the Open Health Data Exchange Challenge. And then there's the results sharing challenge. So what we want you to do, everybody, either here in Zoom or on YouTube, is to sign up to get your personalized link. So this link will take you to this site here where you put in your name and your whatever you want your link to be. So you can make up your personalized link. This one's already created, so I click submit. And so I will take this link now and share it out in social media. And this will track who's shared, who gets the most unique visitors to the site. And then EXOS will be provided out to you for the top 10 sharers. So we really want to share this comic as much as we can. We want to get these visions out to the world and get people working on these visions, start promoting these changes within the system. And we also believe that comics are a way to get people to shift their mindsets, to become believers in this future vision. Because when people read comics, it suspends their disbelief and allows them to believe in that future vision. And so really just share out to your network, ask your network to reshare it, use your own personalized link, and let's really drive some traffic to this comic. And feel free to download the comic, share it out to everybody you know, get it printed off, whatever you want. It's distributed and published through Creative Commons, so everybody can share it and work towards those future visions. So thanks everybody for your time. We're going to shut off the YouTube stream right now, but we'll stay here in Zoom for people to continue discussion. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care. Good work.
Great. Thank you. So if you want to continue to discuss, you can, or feel free to drop off. And